Greetings, welcome, and salutations, gamers. Welcome to Cast Co-op, the podcast in which three podcast hosts cast together. I am one of your co-hosts, Luke Lore, the Insipid Ghost, and host of the Xbox Expansion Pass. I had to make sure I got that one right. Almost lost it. And today I am joined by two of my podcast brethren. The first, of course, Mr. Ainsley Bowden. And guys, can I tell you before he starts, he's had an evening. This man was having an emotional meltdown over microphones.
Yeah, I'm sitting among a sea of headphones. One of those thing that creators know all too well, where just nothing wants to work all of a sudden. So yeah, good fun. I'm on my gaming headset, so if I don't sound as good, or maybe that's better, I don't know. But yeah, it looks a little ridiculous, but then I always look ridiculous. So go. Happy to be here. It wasn't 9 weeks, we did it.
We broke
the best part was we had
curse.
plans and you guys were canceling them, not me this time.
It's true.
This is true.
Busy.
Yeah,
it's true.
This is true.
It's true. Of course, we are also joined by the host of the Trophy Room, a PlayStation podcast, Mr. Joseph Moran. Hello, sir.
Hi, guys. I'm not great mentally today. I'm gonna be real. I think, I think
E3 got to you.
Yeah, it was the death of E3 and not Captain Holt that got you, huh?
Exactly. Yeah.
There.
So
hey,
I'm keeping it together. Yeah.
Midnight Jury just gifted me a membership to Season Gaming. I love that. I love that.
Midnight's very generous, gifts memberships quite a bit on SG, which I super appreciate. I'm sorry it went to Luke.
Can I note, by the way?
I'll try and figure out if there's something I can do about that.
This is how I know you two weren't in the chat early, because it was myself and Jose Martinez and a few others. And I was like, I'd like to take this opportunity to ask that you like and subscribe to my Patreon and not Joe's.
Oh, very nice, very classy.
Subscribe to me and not Joe. That's all I ask.
He's talking about his Patreon on this show now, Joe. Can we stop him at some point? Like,
I don't know, man.
What are you talking about? We do that.
Madness gotta end.
Is there something I don't know? What?
Anything for a handout, Mr. Lord. Jeez,
I don't mind what it is. They don't have to do anything. But if
he's gonna be ringing a bell on the next episode, like, come on.
I clearly don't know what we're talking. I've clearly missed something.
Good. How's your eyes, Luke?
We're just giving you shit. We're starting the show. We're giving you shit.
It was hard to tell through your microphone if you're being serious or not.
No, I'm being serious. How are your eyes? Because you went through multiple surgeries.
Yeah, I've had 2 surgeries, and surgery is an exaggeration, but it's not. Like, it's hard to. It's a procedure, but it's a surgery. It's very weird.
Sure.
Because you're awake the whole time, but they're doing much better. I think the camera is embellishing it right now, but I've had multiple people this week tell me how much better it looks. Which is good because it's going to have some scarring. It'll always kind of have a little thing there, but it's not impacting my vision now, which is good.
Okay.
Which is good.
Yeah. And you met some good liars. That's great.
Well, it's funny. The camera really is. And like, I'm seeing it too. Like, I've got this weird yellow. I don't know how to picture.
Yeah. May listening on our audio who may not be aware, Luke is trying to overcome his aversion to sunlight. And so he's getting procedures done on his eyes. He's getting there. Step by step.
Well, it's funny. It was you guys that pointed out there was something wrong with my eyes like a year ago, and here we are, 2 surgeries later.
Bullying works.
It does. It builds character.
Yeah.
I see it work every day.
That's right. That's right.
So there you go.
When you get an intro me in, dude.
I introed you. I already did.
Oh, you did. I'm sorry. I was forgetful.
Yeah.
So,
boys,
go through a lot.
It's good to see you guys. We've had a lot happen since the last time we were on. E3 died. My dog died. We had an Xbox showcase. Last time Joe got to say it.
It caught me off guard.
We had the Game Awards, which was pretty darn cool. And I say cool, a lot of things to talk about. I thought the night was really interesting. Like, all jokes aside, I thought there were a lot of really good talking points that came from it. Some played out, some overdone. But it's good to be back with you guys and just chatting, because I don't think there's a ton to digest here that hasn't been done on our individual shows. So we can just kind of let our hair down, metaphorically, and talk a little bit about just kind of E3, the death of that, the year in gaming and so on. And yeah, that's pretty cool.
I do want to bring up the big cast, because I listened to this week's episode so that I knew we wouldn't be interlapping.
That's not a word, dummy.
Overlapping.
Overlapping. What did I say? Interlapping.
Interlapping.
Yeah, we're interlapping. We're interlapping now. It's like Interstellar. But anyway, but yeah, I was surprised by the overall consensus of not just you four, and not just the chat, but it really just feels like the internet as a whole, where it's like, we think Jeff needs to take it a step back and reanalyze this show a bit.
Yes,
because it's getting incredibly predictable, and it's getting too, I think maybe the word is commercial.
Yep.
Where the one thing that, like, Ains, you said it on Bitcast, and I'll repeat here so I sound like the smart one, is like, it's Keighley constantly looking for validation or looking for things that worked in the past so he could repeat it this year. Like, he likes the Muppets, so chances are a Muppet is going to be on stage. And though it worked for one or two times where it did, it's now starting to show its age. It's now starting to get overdone and overplayed. The constant need for Hollywood actors and actresses. Some make sense for sure, like Simu Liu. Makes sense. He's a gamer. He's out there. He's playing them. But for the most part, like, Al Pacino don't need to be there. You know what I'm saying? And so we're hitting a point where it's like, yeah, he loves Kojima. There will be a 5-minute, Keighley gushing about Kojima on stage and 4 minutes of an awkward conversation via interpreter. And there's just no time for the actual event that's supposed to be going on, which is the awards.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. I want to know. I want to know how your guys' thoughts have kind of evolved as we've gotten to sit and digest. And now this being, this is now, for all the big stuff with E3 dead, it's seemingly like it all falls in the hands of Jeff. I don't know how comfortable.
Can I go first on this one, Ains? And then you corral me?
Go.
Yeah. I agree with you that I think Jeff needs to be reined in a bit. I think it shouldn't be lost on any gamer the importance of Jeff Keighley in the last 8 to 10 years, because he's done something for the industry that the industry needed in providing a rallying point for gamers and celebration. But I think this is what happens when you go unchecked. And we shouldn't let our critique go at the expense of our thanks, or vice versa, right? I do think that the purpose of the show has been lost, and that's kind of a bummer, because people have crafted and made something for their game of the year, and then they're celebrating Kojima, who hasn't put out a game since Death Stranding, and that's not fair in my mind. And I think there needs to be a better balance. Yes, the show needs to get paid for, but it's important, I think, if we're going to have a game award show, to honor those who are making games. That's, I think, the big thing. Ains, go ahead, buddy.
Yeah, no, I agree with both of you. And I think I'm going to do what Joe did, taking the comment I said, and I'm going to go ahead with Hogs, because I think he said it really concisely, which is there's a fundamental, I'm going to forget the word now, but there's a fundamental contrast to what he's trying to achieve here. An award show looks backwards, a preview show looks forwards. And he's trying to combine the two, and he's not doing it necessarily very successfully. I think that all of us would agree, and to Joe's point, I think there's honestly a very large consensus, which is pretty rare in the gaming community, that this show was really more of a winter E3 than it was an award show. And I think there's reason for that. That's why people tune in. That's why we discuss all the trailers and everything else, because that gets a lot of excitement in the gaming community. So I understand that to a degree. But if you're going to call it an award show and you actually want this to celebrate the achievements of the developers and the studios and people within the gaming industry, then you need to do that. And you need to have a better focus on that, especially the ones that aren't necessarily your friends or that you love so much. I would also say that, the other thing is, damn it, I lost my train of thought now.
Looking back versus looking forward, which is a wonderful way to put that. Game Awards are meant to
Yeah,
look backwards versus look forwards, and it's not a preview show, or at least not in title. But a lot of what he's done is build the audience based on world premieres. And despite him saying this year there's not going to be a lot of world premieres, it's felt like he had the internet audience looking towards those and not celebrating those that made gamers. I was offended for the developers personally when I saw there, and the award goes to Street Fighter 6, and the award goes to this, and
yeah,
they listed that, and then suddenly he's talking to a Muppet, or we have Jordan Peele come out, which is dope and important, but how much time versus how much time was sacrificed, I think, was the frustrating part for me.
yeah. I mean, Jordan Peele's. No one's arguing about Jordan Peele being awesome. I don't think.
No.
But do I need him for 10 minutes or 5 minutes or however long it was in my gaming award show? No, I don't. It just doesn't make a lot of sense in that space, and I think that he's got to make a decision on what this is going to be more fundamentally. And I think, oh, that was the other point I was going to make, and we talked about this on Bigcast too, is that the gaming industry, there was a time, right, probably in the up through maybe the early 2000s, where the gaming industry was vying for credibility, and
Mhm.
games were still looked at as for children generally, especially going back when I was growing up, right?
Mhm. Are you talking
That's
about the Spike Award era or before that?
I mean, I'm ancient, so before that.
Okay.
Yeah.
But my point being is that, like, now gaming is a global entertainment industry, far bigger than music or movies combined in terms of
Mhm.
revenue anyway. And it doesn't need to vie for that credibility in the same way anymore. At least I don't believe it does. I think there's enough kind of within the gaming industry to truly celebrate the icons of the industry. I know Phil Spencer's an easy one to call out, right? But I mean, there's so many leaders like Phil, like it's the Sean Layden's of the world, the people we talk about that can come out there and speak. It would also be an opportunity to introduce new studios, celebrate, the kind of all these new studios were stood this year. I think many of us agree too. He should have called out some of the problems facing the gaming industry to some degree, but you can also counter that by celebrating some of the great things and the great people doing great things in the industry. And none of that happens here.
Mhm.
It's really just, here's a few awards here and there. Here's my friends, and here's game announcements. And it's just it's a weird kind of blending of things I think he's wanted to achieve, and he hasn't done it very cleanly.
The
Yeah.
friends part bothers me because he could use his power for good, I feel, and it feels like we only see a few developers celebrated, like the woman who helped with Ghostwire Tokyo and now has her own
Yes,
game.
Unseen, I think, is the studio.
Correct, which is awesome, but like why not spotlight more developers or studios that started up in a year where so many crashed? And Joe, I cut you off. Go ahead, bud.
No, I was about to say something very similar. So keep going.
Okay,
Which I
I'm
know
sorry,
is
bud.
not as something you're accustomed to hearing. Keep going, especially from your wife.
My God. Your mother says it. So I think
What's
the
that?
big thing is that there is a chance every year that Jeff could celebrate the people, the unsung heroes. And I remember early on in the Game Awards, not the Spike TV era, but the Game Awards, where the first award he was giving, or the first presenter was like a woman um, who had achieved like some lifetime achievement in gaming. She had crafted something early on in gaming. It was just hugely important and had a ripple effect through the industry. How many of those people could be celebrated again? Obviously, I'm familiar with the Xbox history, but like having a Seamus Blackley up there to give an award, a guy who was under a stage soldering to help launch a brand, right? Having people up there that just are not there for star power. I agree that Matthew McConaughey is a cool person presence, but he wasn't even in the trailer for the game he talked about, and his joke was pew pew, right? Like that at the expense of celebrating the people that made Street Fighter 6 or worked on the Crew Motorfest or got the accessibility awards and stuff. Although accessibility might be the exception there. They did have a good spotlight there, but that just kind of bummed me out because I don't want to see Keely's friends. I want to see the industry and the parts of the industry that I miss because XEP, my interest, my time only gets to see but so much. Even on the most avid of days when I reach out to multiple news sources, maybe I don't get to see or celebrate developer A, B, C, and D. And I think that's the part that stinks.
I think like there are genuine moments that we're losing because of the commercial element. The Tales of Kenzara, that that head of that studio comes out. I believe his name is Abu Akar Salim's speech that he gives about his father, and this is
brilliant.
Like you're seeing him getting choked up. It's like, this is a stage that I admired, something I never thought I'd be a part of, and I'm here and I'm doing this. And that moment, even just thinking about it, it gets to me. It's so beautiful. We're missing those moments because Timothy Chalamet needs to walk up. Or, again, like as much as I love Shang-Chi, like I'm seeing Simu Liu like limp out on stage talking about a boot, or Anthony Mackie telling people to shut up. So it's like, it's those moments that we're losing. And I think the genuine question that Jeff, I think, probably needs to ask himself is it okay if this award show has a ceiling? Right? Is it okay if this thing doesn't hit, number one trending on Twitter or whatever? Like, does it matter how much, how many millions of people we're reaching if the message that's really being conveyed isn't us being thankful for the developers? The message is, just shut up and consume some stuff. And I think that is a hard question to ask. And I think it's also very layered, because on top of it going, as much as like I'm thankful for Jeff, the DICE Awards have always been there, right? Multiple outlets have always had like, here's our game of the year thing. We don't need Jeff's award show. We've just, for some reason, amazing marketing, I would assume, have put importance on this award show, when in actuality it really is the MTV Movie Music Awards to what is like, the Oscars. And I think for someone who's trying to make it, I think Jeff's trying to make it have the Oscars reach, and not really be the Oscars, if that makes any sense.
If you're going to be the MTV Music Awards, Movie Awards, whatever, be that. But don't preach about how important developers are, and then
seconds.
And then just ditch over them.
Yeah. No, I agree with everything you guys are saying, and I think there's, like I said, consensus for the most part, I would say, on what people want to see out of these award show. But I mean, GameFire says it, we all say it, that it is why people tune in. And I think your point's very astute, Joe, which is that he needs to decide, is he okay with the Game Awards only having a certain amount of reach? Is it okay if he comes out next year with a different show that maybe appeases more of what we're talking about, but gets 20% less viewership? Is he okay with that? And is the leadership, his board, whatever he uses to make all these financial decisions and the funding, are they okay with that? Because this isn't the first time we've talked about this. We talked about it last year to a degree. We've talked about it to various degrees in the past. And all we've seen him do is make it more and more like this announcement in Hollywood show. So
it makes you think how expensive this thing must be.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, absolutely. And people, as always, with all things investment-wise, people want their money back and they want to make money on these things. So I don't know what that situation looks like. It would be cool to kind of understand the details there. But at the end of the day, if I'm a betting man, as much as I would like to see what we've all been talking about and what we're talking about now, I don't think it's going to happen. And I think one of you said it. I think challenge.
Say that again. Your mic cut out, buddy.
Yeah.
You roboted. Just say it one more time. Just one more time, bud.
I was saying that I think you said it. Can you hear me?
Yes, Cybertron, we can.
Oh man, I'm sorry, everyone. He's kind of unchallenged in this right now, and I think we need someone else to say, okay, if Jeff's show is going to be the E3 of winter, or what E3 was, then we will do an official award show that truly celebrates the developers. And your point is, there are other shows that have done that. There's got to be a way to kind of walk that line between being a show that kind of fits for everyone, but still celebrates what we're talking about.
Fair enough.
Here's an alternate question for you guys, and shoot it down if it's not a worthy topic, sincerely. But it occurs to me, if we're asking for challengers, the next best thing in terms of probably viewership numbers is probably something like IGN or Giant Bomb or whatnot. In an era where I feel like I've had to talk about the words Xbox tax a lot, is that worthy of an industry rallying point, or does it just need to be that maybe an award show will not rally gamers and developers simultaneously?
I think there is an importance to Jeff's show overall. I think it is a kind of serves as this beacon for where, yeah, like if you're a Nintendo fan, you got something there for you. If you're an Xbox fan, you got something there for you. If you're a diehard PlayStation fan, you got something there for you. And I think it serves as something that we can all gather around for. Better than like an IGN or a, GameSpot or whatever have the reach for. That's why I do think that there is at the end of the day an importance of this show because it's able to bring people together. But again, I think when it comes to the heart of like award shows, I think like the DICE Awards does a far better job than what Jeff's shows does, and it is developers celebrating developers. And I think it does that way better than what Jeff has done.
Is that a
Yeah.
public show? Have you guys ever watched that?
Yes.
Yeah, it is. It
Yeah,
is. The question is, how do you get the average consumer who doesn't pay attention to all the details like we do to tune into that, right? So that's where you've got to kind of figure out that balance. Jeff's on one end of the spectrum right now with the Game Awards, DICE and some of those kind of peer recognition award ceremonies like DICE are over here on the spectrum, and there needs to be a middle ground where you have a celebration of the gaming industry, but it's consumable enough, I would say, for your kind of average gamer to be interested. I don't know how to do that. I'm sure if it was easy, we'd already have it. So I'm not saying it's easy, and I also want to make sure that I'm not too overly critical of Jeff. There's things obviously I disagree with. I think we all do, but at the same time, he has done a lot in this space and does bring a stability to the gaming industry. And I think you start to say these things too. But I want to be careful. We don't all just kind of pile on Jeff for it not being exactly what we each want to see out of a show. But I think he would be fooling himself. And I think if you asked him candidly off mic, he would probably admit they can probably do some things better, and you'd probably get the real story, which, if I had to guess, as always, has to do with money. And I think that's probably the case. So I don't know where we go from here, but yeah.
I think he invites criticism by way of who he is, the same way that we say Phil Spencer, the same way we say Jim Ryan. He's Jeff Keighley, and because he's the man doing things at the top of something, when we say Jeff, we don't always mean him personally so much as we mean the Game Awards. When we say Phil Spencer, we mean Xbox. Jim Ryan, we mean PlayStation. I think that's just the nature of being the head. At least that's my take, except when he does talk about Kojima, which, is a thing he loves to do.
He really does, man. It's pretty nuts.
Kind of weird.
It's very odd. And he essentially gave, just to rant about that a little bit, he essentially gave Kojima his own event within the event. And it's like, you've got everyone in the industry there. You've got the world watching, as we say. You're giving Kojima a walkout lit special, a bigger entrance than Jeff gave himself in the show, to walk out and present a 1-minute teaser that told us absolutely nothing, to then talk about it for nearly 10 minutes with Jordan Peele. It made no sense. And I'm excited about OD. I said, I'm not a Kojima fan. I think he's pretentious and I think his games are overrated. But I've always said that Kojima would be great for horror and or movies. And it looks like that's just the space he's moving into with OD. So I'm excited to see what it is. Hope it's great. But that doesn't deserve that time in the show. It just doesn't. There's no content there worthy of that much time.
Which, can I just say, this is where, if I could put my PlayStation hat off for a second. Speaking of, listen, Xbox showed up and they put out some. I finally saw the was it Hellblade 2 trailer? Oh my God.
Oh wow, right?
Wowie, that's gonna be on my game of the year shortlist. Like, I love the first Hellblade. I think it is spectacular. Hellblade 2 just looks like more Hellblade, but with a much bigger budget. And now they get to kind of brag about it. They got Blade, which is also a third person over the shoulder game. And then they got a movie game. So congratulations, Xbox.
What was the movie game?
OD.
Oh,
You have your third person over the shoulder, probably open world.
Oh, we don't know
movie game.
that yet. Calm down, PlayStation guy. On Hellblade, I'm with you. I am absolutely pumped for that game. I adored the first one. Obviously, I think I said on Big Cast, like, yeah, obviously there's criticism. Yeah, Hellblade 1, right? But that game was made by like 15 people. And they've had the time and money and budget to kind of expand upon those concepts, and it looks spectacular. And I think someone can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Digital Foundry did their first kind of review of that trailer, and they're literally blown away. So I think it's going to be a showcase for Xbox, no doubt. I can't wait to play it.
Dude,
it's those kind of games that are keeping Xbox from. I cut you off, Joe. Go ahead.
No, I'm just simply I'm going to be there day one. I can't wait.
I just want to see IGN give it like a 5. Woo! It'll be fun days online.
No, I'm done with those days, dude.
On that day, Master Wayne, I won't want to.
No, I think that game's gonna be spectacular. And Blade, I like. It looks like they're going for more of a specific art style, right? Almost not anime-ish, but kind of that. I don't know, a very kind of unique looking art style, which kind of excites me too. I like that.
What game do you think is more important to Xbox's future, Hellblade 2 or Blade?
Blade.
No. Really?
100%. Yeah.
100%. Yeah, 100%.
Okay, fight me on this one.
Okay.
I agree that it's Marvel.
It's not going to be a fight.
A big importance there.
But
we're making content, Ains. Come on. I should say Cybertron.
Just go along with me in my robot voice.
Dude, it is excessive.
It's so sometimes when Ains talks, guys, it's like in the Matrix when they go down Neo's throat. It's like holy shit.
But I think there's an argument to be made for Hellblade being more important because we came off of 2022, the worst year in terms of Xbox exclusives. 2023 arrives. Tons of Xbox games come out. Over 5 came out. Admittedly, niche titles, some very high quality, some not. The only true black eye was Redfall, but it still didn't move a needle. But the Activision acquisition goes through, and now it's like, okay, you've got Doom, Call of Duty, but you need the game of the year, the game that everybody looks at, because Starfield, I don't think that ever would have won game of the year, even in 2022. Like, I don't know. And I love Starfield. It's on my short list.
Oh,
but
no,
like,
because Elden Ring came out in 2022.
You see what I'm saying? Right? Like, Starfield's not winning it. So Xbox needs the game of the year, the one that you can't get anywhere else that everybody has to play. And I think Hellblade has a shot at being that in the way that God of War did in 2018. That's my argument.
I would say, and Joe, tell me if you disagree, but I would say Hellblade doesn't have that reach. Hellblade is a much more unique experience and refined experience that will not garner that level of audience.
Yeah. Also, I think the need is more of a want from the Xbox camp. I think the game that's going to push the needle for Xbox is Call of Duty. That's why it was held up in court for so long. The fact that game gets to be recreated and morphed into this service game, this true service game, and for $15 you get a campaign every year, and you get to see that the competition is that $70 price tag versus $15. You can't beat that, and I think that moves the needle way more than any game that is up for a game of the year talk. I think it helps
Mhm.
certain games for sure. Like an Elden Ring, probably that moved the needle for that game. But for Xbox, I think their whole thing is quantity. You said it. They got Doom guy. They got Call of Duty bro. They got
Mhm.
Master Chief. They got Crash. They got Tony Hawk, for Christ's sakes. They
Mhm.
have this litany, this library rather, of just amazing IP. They don't all have to be game of the year. I think
Mhm.
those games individually are going to move the needle for Xbox. And I think just by being on Game Pass, to be honest.
Mhm.
Yeah, and the chat has called this out before I could speak, but I think the bigger needle mover potentially is Fable. I think if Fable has the quality level that we are hoping it will, and as expansive as we hope it will be, I think that is a bigger market game than Hellblade 2 is. Hellblade
Yep.
2, I think, is going to be a more, I don't know the word, maybe a more unique experience that is aimed at a certain audience, like I just said, but it's not.
Mhm.
I don't think the person. Let me put it this way, and I hope it is, Luke. Believe me, I hope you're right.
Mhm.
And Hellblade 2 gets tens and blows everyone away.
Mhm.
I just don't think Hellblade 2 is that game that, the to Joe's kind of broader point of mainstream, is the mom's looking at on the shelf and picking up, to play for her household. Hellblade 2 just doesn't seem to have that reach. If it gains it and it's that great and overcomes the kind of horror-esque, serious vibes to be more mainstream, fantastic. I just don't think
Mhm.
it does. I think a game like Fable, I was hoping Perfect Dark could be that, but who the hell knows what's going on with that game right now. Um, so yeah, you have to look at the other IPs that just have the market strength. I think Fable could stretch
I feel
those bounds.
it all makes sense, but I do feel like Hellblade has the potential to jump from the games uh entertainment medium into another medium as well, film or TV show or something. I think Hellblade has potential. I think articles will be written about Hellblade that will end up in like Time magazine or something because of its approach to mental health and psychosis and the technologies that are driving it. So I'm wondering if it has a chance to transcend in a way that I don't see many other games having the potential to do. As far as Fable being
That would be nice. Not to stop you, but that would be great to see that. I would love that.
yeah. I I I question Fable's ability to I don't know what the right words might be, but like be that tentpole industry moment because the it kind of goes back to something Joe said earlier. I don't know if it's a need so much as the Xbox camps want. The Xbox camp wants Fable to be a thing, but despite some pretty good sales and Fable being exclusive, did the games not repeatedly disappoint from their expectations? And aren't the expectations monumental on this one now? And we've been told we've seen gameplay. Well, I don't want to play with a big giant walking around if it's a comedy game. Am I
Mm.
wrong or just out of touch? Maybe it's just not my interest type. But I've had a lot of games that aren't my interest type recently in the last 3 years that I've enjoyed. So I don't know. Talk me off a ledge, maybe.
Ains, I saw you cracking a smile there, bud. Oh, his mic just disconnected. That's why he's losing it. And now my dog's just hooting and hollering in the background. This is just, it's
Welcome
chaos
to
tonight, y'all.
XEP Part 2. Now that I've got you guys here, Ains wanted me to say that Banjo is overrated.
Banjo.
Oh, there it is.
There he is. There he is.
Yeah, don't you
Let me
dare
go get my
talk
dog.
negative
I
about
gotta
Banjo.
calm her down.
Okay. Yeah, I think we're missing the bigger point here, which is talked about Banjo, therefore Banjo Game of Year. Sure.
No, Banjo is
Um,
so unimportant. Let's pin
you
that because I do
better
want to come back.
shut your mouth.
Let's come back to that because I don't
Um,
understand. I don't get it. Okay.
about Fable. I think funny enough, I think the point you made about Hellblade is how some of us, I won't speak for others, but I see
Mhm.
Fable. Fable,
Mhm.
I agree with you, was never this blockbuster IP.
Mhm.
It's an Xbox specific IP. If you ask someone on the street what Fable is in the gaming space, unless they were an Xbox fan, they probably have no idea what you're talking about.
Mhm.
So I get all that, but um, the the potential reach of a humorous open world RPG
Mhm.
is much grander than, say, Hellblade, in my opinion. And I think that Playground Games is a fantastic developer. They're putting a lot of time and money and budget into this game. And they've staffed up extensively, as you're aware, right? So
Mhm.
I think that this game has the potential. I don't know if it'll hit it, but it has the potential to be Xbox exclusive type game on level, maybe not as high as say a Witcher 3, a Baldur's Gate 3, that type of thing, but somewhere in the realm of kind of large scale memorable RPG that has kind of humorous elements, maybe a good story, character building, etc. That's what I'm hoping for. Maybe the hopes are misguided. But I would argue that that's what they're going for in terms of their marketing and the way they talk about it. Whether or not they can hit that high bar, we'll see.
I incorrectly on the most recent XCP, Logan and I were talking about like the games that we expect to see from Xbox in 2024. And we said Hellblade, Microsoft Flight Sim, Towerborn, and we said one more.
Yeah. So not to interrupt you, Luke, but I was confused about this because a lot of people, when they said Hellblade 2024 and it got reported out, I'm like, this is not news. We already knew this. And Xbox in June talked about the games that we're releasing in 2024 already. It's literally on their roadmap, which include Hellblade, Towerborn, Flight Sim 2, and the other one I'm literally forgetting.
So the other one's Avowed.
Thank you.
But that's not what we said. We were thinking something else, and I don't remember what we were thinking at the time. But it brought up Xbox has done really well this year, and they're looking good for next year. But wait, which ones are they? And I wasn't sure if we got lost in the sauce or if people don't know, if people do know, if we were just blanking,
Yeah, this was talked about by Matt Booty in June around, getting to the cadence of releasing every quarter. It has been their goal for a while. They just haven't had the staff to do it, right? And they think that starting in 2024, that begins. Is that they will release a first-party game, not necessarily a AAA blockbuster, but a first-party kind of, solid game, if you will, every quarter. And yeah, they talked about. Here it is. So he says right here, this is literally a quote from Matt Booty because I wrote an article on this, so I have it in front of me. He's talking about Forza Motorsport and Starfield because this was June, remember? And he goes, we have Towerborn for 2024. It really kicks into gear. We have Towerborn, Hellblade 2, Avowed, Flight Simulator 2024, and some other things we haven't talked about yet. So he already confirmed that these games were coming in 2024. That's why I was so confused when people were like, "Oh my God, we finally know that Hellblade's coming in 2024." I'm like, we knew that 6 months ago. Perhaps
it was a reassurance, given
maybe,
given all the delays and such we've seen to so many AAA games. But I saw that 2024, and that made me think that is their big holiday game. Whereas perhaps 4 or 5 months ago, I would have thought that was the first half of the year game.
Hellblade?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would definitely bet it's the latter part of the year. As I understand it, Towerborn is the early one, and then Flight Sim 2024 is spring, with Avowed coming in fall, third quarter. I would assume Hellblade for fourth quarter next year. That would be my guess.
I don't like when sim games are tent poles.
Flight Sim, yeah, I don't get excited for Flight Sim either. But I think what they're supplementing, I'm kind of going through my old article because I forget too. I think they're supplementing that stuff with some second party partnerships or even third party marketing partnerships. Like, for instance, they talked a lot about 33 Immortals, which is that roguelite ARPG from Thunder Lotus that's coming out. Stalker 2 is coming next year.
Effectively.
Correct. Yep. So I think they'll supplement those, what they call tentpole or quarter releases, with a lot of that. Plus, of course, Xbox does really well in the live arena. We talk about it all the time here, but you've got Forza Horizon, you've got Forza Motorsport now, you've got Halo, you've got Sea of Thieves, you got all these games. State of Decay, they're still releasing content for, which is crazy. And now, now they have Call of Duty, and everything else that goes along with that. Plus, they're talking about they have Diablo expansion next year, right? They have Starfield expansion being worked on, and mods and everything else that goes along with that. So, I mean, we're kind of on an Xbox tangent at this point, but their portfolio is so large now that, yeah, it's a little crazy.
Side note, we played Halo Firefight, and I jumped back into Halo after being away for a good bit because I took seasons 3 and 4 off. Okay. We're on season 5 right now, or are we on an operation?
It's on 5, but the operation it's both.
Gotcha. Okay. So I took 3 and 4 off. Man, that game's so good.
It's really good.
It's so good now. I mean, it was
Firefight's
always
so
good,
much fun.
but yeah, credit to them. I'm so impressed.
Yeah, God bless that team. I want to go back and play it with you again, like tonight. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like Luke, I'm pretty sure, like I'm free tomorrow night. I think I don't know. we need to play it.
Let me
yeah,
ask you
that was
this.
a ton of fun.
So I turned on Firefight for a couple seconds. I haven't even played a full match. But they started last week and they released it with their new networking model. If you're not into the weeds on Halo, there's been networking concerns and stuff online, desync and these other things that have affected the online gameplay since launch. They've been working for a long time on an entirely networking model for the game. They released it with Firefight only. That only playlist last week.
Oh, okay.
They just rolled it out to one other playlist today, the squad battle. But I don't know if you noticed because maybe you're not in the weeds like me, but did you have any kind of concerns about connectivity or how it felt playing Firefight online together?
Oh, felt good.
Felt great.
Yeah.
And can I note that I think Halo Infinite specifically focused way too much on its competitive and not enough on its casual experience, and I think that made it
Shut
suffer.
up.
I'm sorry, like it's just too niche. I think if they had done a little bit.
No.
What's up? Oh, you're just in denial. Got it. Well, why don't you go ahead and tell me how relevant?
No, I mean the data. You are not the market. The data kind of speaks for itself. Like the escalation of Halo's player base has happened because of everything they've done for multiplayer over the past year. The addition of Firefight last week, we'll see if it has any big additional impact. But the data so far, it's only been a week. Data so far since last week hasn't changed that.
I think that'd be skewed data given that Halo Infinite's precedent has been set by its launch and like whether it trends slightly upward or not. But I think they might have done a better or landed better if they had appealed to a broader audience being more casual.
At launch, you mean?
Yes.
Okay,
That's what I'm talking about.
Okay, yeah, maybe.
Yeah, not to say that the service they do towards the hardcore is negative, but I think that at launch, if they had handled a wider player base, versus the more hardcore, then maybe it would have had a better impact. But either way, that's not what doomed that game or anything. But
I like what Alejandro says in chat. Alejandro writes, "Took till Destiny tumbled for Halo to rise."
It's not true. He's just giving me shit, Alex.
You love to see it.
I'm with
that
Alex.
said, listen, I want to get back to the topic at hand. Okay, I'll leave for a second.
What's the topic?
Listen, I'm gonna land this ship. Don't worry. And it comes from the breaking news today, coming from the Entertainment Software Association, the ESA for short. In a tweet, after more than 2 decades of E3, each one bigger than the last, the time has come to say goodbye. Thanks for the memories. E3 is no more. And I just want to kind of get a gut check of how y'all are feeling with the announcement of E3 being gone.
Sucks.
I mean, yeah, like it sucks because E3 means so much to so many people, particularly the veterans in the gaming industry, both developer and consumer. It sucks because people use the term E3 to mean something far beyond just the conference. At the same time, E3 as it stands was an embarrassment and a shell of that meaning. And that's a bummer. And it's almost like, all right, boy, Joe, this one's close to home. I'm glad we put the dog down here. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm glad it's done because it was just limping and sad and hard to watch. And it inevitably,
Jesus Christ, were you in the room?
Yes.
Oh fuck.
So, but I'm saying like that's just what it was. Watching E3 limp past its prime and try to compete as Summer Game Fest and other showcases were doing a better job at showcasing future products to get gamers and developers excited. It needed to go. So it sucks, but I'm really glad this legacy is over. It kind of reminds me of Embracer. It's like people tried, and it's just burr. So I'm excited for the next thing or allowing what is there to mature.
To me, I don't think it's goodbye. I think it's a see you later. someone is gonna buy that name and they're gonna try it, whether it's in a year from now, 2 years from now, 10 years from now, where a weird billionaire buys it, and tries to make it into
Don't be Musk. Don't be Musk. Please don't be
it's
Musk.
him. And like all it is like a sad ball pit in the middle and a couple of LCDs. But like to me, it's a weird feeling because I never had the urge to go to E3. I know a lot of people are like, oh, I've always wanted to go. No, not really. It's always been an event that for me, the way I miss it is like, I remember in middle school watching it as a kid. I remember high school watching it as a kid. I never had like the imagination of like, oh, I wanted to be in the crowd, because to me, I was in the crowd watching all these things go by. So like for me, it was, E3 was a moment in time that I'm going to miss, but I don't miss it, if that makes any sense, because I feel like we have moved on from what the future of these quote unquote shows are. And it is, your PlayStation, showcasers or state of plays, your Xbox Direct, your Nintendo Directs, the Capcom Presents. Like, it's those things now where they're speaking to their audience. It owns the waves for a good day or two, and that's what these moments are. I don't think, sadly, you really necessarily need an E3. I don't know.
No, I
No,
don't think I don't think needs the answer, definitely. I would say
What the
that
hell is he saying?
is that bad?
Yeah, you're using the E3 mic. It comes in and out.
Try again, Ains.
Hello.
There he
Hello?
is.
No, definitely don't need it. I think why I said I will miss it is that there is something to be said for bringing a lot of the industry personnel together for a multiple day event where they can talk shop, talk game development. The content creators can get access to a lot of things first and kind of be able to report out on those things. I think there's a lot to be said for that. I think that obviously, I think everyone agrees the method of what E3 was is gone. It's a different age and era now, and replicating that same feeling that it was back in the early 2000s, or even 10 years ago, is not going to happen. But I still think there is a place for an industry gathering that can be beneficial to not only people in the industry, but a whole bunch of creators, outlets, sites, and even fans who can enjoy those things from their favorite creators. I think Summer Game Fest has shown, I would argue, that replicating what E3 was is harder said than done, because Summer Game Fest is a mess. It's a mess. There's just disjointed. There's stuff that goes on for weeks. There's companies all over the place. And I think what E3 did really well is just said, look, here's the 4 days, 3 to 5 days, whatever. Here's the days. Everyone is going to be together and everything's going to be presented. And if you want to come join us in that, you can do that as well. And I think that I hope that gets recreated somehow.
What say you, Luke?
What's the actual question here? I thought, what do you want me to
No,
answer?
how like your feelings, your thoughts, your emotions. Where does it go from here? Yeah.
I'm not sad to see E3 itself go. I was fortunate enough to go in 2019, which as a guest of Xbox Canada, because I was working with a Canadian podcaster at the time. And I have long hoped to go back to a summer event. That's been a goal of XEP since its inception, is to be worthy of an invite back, right? And it doesn't have to be to E3, but I want to be amongst gamers at a fan fest or with people celebrating games, watching Ains interact with so many people that we meet in the creator networks was really cool. I'd have been bummed if I was at last year's and that was my only one, right? Because I felt like last year's was a bit of a weird mix, especially how last minute it was. But like, it's more the event, not the name. E3 now will just be a descriptor we use for summer events.
Isn't that weird?
Summer Game Fest, isn't it? Like it's a weird. Is
Yeah.
it Games Fest or Game Fest? You know, like it's
Yeah.
just not the same as E3 the way it just sounds. But like it's the same. Like what does IGN stand for? It used to stand for something. Imagine Games
Yeah.
Network. You know, I can't spell like you know whatever it is. But like it doesn't matter what it meant to us. It means something.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think you're right. I think for like us oldies out there, it means something. But for like the young kids today, you know, in their early 20s, you know, they get to wake up without back pain. It does it that word means way so much less to them. So for me, I'm kind of in the similar mindset of Ains where I just want to know how the consolidation of power is going to work. Now that we know that the ESA is not going to be there, now that we know we don't have a solid week of, you know, game announcements, does the Summer Game Fest folks come in going, okay, now we can maybe, you know, rope some devs and publishers together to get this, you know, 1 or 2 weeks of game announcements for folks to enjoy. I hope that's the case, but something tells me that the Summer Game Fest is more of a calendar than an event. It's, hey, listen, in the months of June, July, and August, here is publisher and developer talk X, Y, and Z, and they're going to talk to you about the future of, you know, their games and what they're going to have to show for it. But again, it just feels like it's very weird because that's another Jeff joint. So it just seems like Jeff has just even now so much more power than he already has. So it's very interesting to see how not just the Summer Games Fest is going to look like, but future game awards are going to look like because of it. Do you think that's going to have some sort of ripple effect, you think?
I don't know how it doesn't. I don't
Right?
know how it doesn't. It's definitely going to have a ripple effect. And I don't think we'll know what they are, what the ripple effects are. I really hope that the industry finds a way to not be dependent upon one thing, not on Jeff Keighley's event, not on IGN's showcase event, and they find a way to be heard. The problem is, I think, as important as these events are, just as or perhaps more important are the social networks that these companies connect with their consumers on. And as Twitter X dies,
Yeah.
finding a
As
way
we're
because
seeing.
yeah, we're watching it happen. Finding a way to migrate that audience to get them to watch on YouTube, to get them to connect on Threads or I don't know, Instagram, Facebook, whatever. I don't know. Is going to be equally important because little games live and die by some of those showcases.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ains,
Yeah.
is your mic fixed? He said
And
something.
say unique New York.
Unique New York. Do you have many
Unique.
leather-bound books? Does your apartment smell of rich mahogany?
He's so upset, you guys.
Can we
You
talk
guys-
about Banjo now? Because I really want to. And it sucks that
Ah,
Ains wasn't. Oh,
I
his
know.
mic keeps disconnecting. That stinks. Well, let's to it. Let's go 10 minutes and be done. How's that? Is that
Yeah, I mean,
okay?
we could end it on Banjo, I think.
Okay.
You know? Yeah.
So I this is not a slander. Ains gonna be so upset he can't talk because I really did want to ask him about Banjo.
Ains, here's what we're gonna do. Okay, you're gonna type in your thoughts as Luke makes his stupid points, and I'm gonna read what you have to your point.
In Ains's
You
voice.
ready? Yeah,
Okay.
in Ains's voice. Sure, whatever. Go for it.
So I'm talking to the chat and to obviously our most famous listener, Ainsley Bowden. The importance of Banjo Kazooie to me feels very overemphasized by the Xbox community and people in social networks because the majority of people that are consumers probably are unfamiliar. Crash has been kept alive, but I wouldn't argue is nearly as strong. Spyro, not nearly as strong because he's been a secondary character in Crash games, despite I'm Spyro, I love myself. They had the really good trilogies that they brought back, a fourth Crash game. Sonic is prominent still, Mario is prominent still, but I don't think Banjo rallies the platform or the mascot platformer fans the way that I think sometimes we talk about the character like he was. It was awesome to see him in Smash. If we did see a high profile game, I think it'd be fantastic, but I don't know that it would have the impact that we sometimes pretend that it would. That's not to say I don't want to see it, but now that Spyro has a shot again, I want that back.
Okay, so Ains is still fixing up his computer.
Well, what do you
so I'll
think?
just
Because
pretend.
PlayStation's good. They've got Sackboy in them, but
Yeah,
who's the one from the
Astrobot, baby.
Astrobot? Thank you. A
God
great
bless
platformer that they
Astrobot.
need to do
Yeah.
more with.
Oh God, I hope, and it's about time. We've Astrobot Playroom, whatever, that's been out there for like gotta be 4 years. So like
Mhm,
that game ought to be out by now, truth be
mhm,
told. That being said, when I think of Banjo's legacy, man. Banjo is a part of gaming history. It's why he's in Smash. He was a
mhm,
moment in time, and it was important to so many folks,
mhm.
growing up then who are gamers now and developers now. So I think he holds a prominent part of what good platformers were back in the, mid to late 90s. And I think that's what Banjo really holds. Is it more symbolic than anything? Sure. Has there been better platformers since then? Absolutely. But I think when it comes to Banjo and Kazooie, it means something to the diehard fan. So like, to me, I think it matters to the base of what Xbox is and what Xbox could be.
Mhm.
Sure, yeah, like has there been like clones of Banjo games? Absolutely. Has there been reimaginings, retellings with different characters? Yeah, Playtonic's done that with was it Ukulele?
Mhm.
But there's something that is, you know, that really does hit at the core of the elder gamer that we are
Mhm.
and the elder statesman that Ains is,
Mhm.
that it really does hit it like an emotional chord. Like I need this type of deal.
Mhm.
So like when we say, yeah, no, there needs to be another Banjo, of course I'm being I'm being over the top. There doesn't need to be another
Mhm.
Banjo, but goddamn, I would like it to be another Banjo because it means something to me, my childhood and all that jazz. So
Gotcha.
yeah, no, like it'll be about as popular as we see Crash and Spyro, right?
Mhm.
And I think it's also a good opportunity for Microsoft to maybe, make them a Banjo show for kids on Netflix, stuff like that.
God, that's a good take there.
Yeah.
We said Astrobot, and I know we wanted to end on Banjo, and I don't know if Dane's disappeared, but
I don't know, yeah, because he ends the show, guys. So
he
like, I
does it.
don't
Yeah,
know.
he
We
does.
said 5-10 minutes, and now
Then
I'm
it's gone.
scared.
But so I'm curious, given PlayStation's severe absence at the Game Awards, given the possibilities, because we only truly know about Wolverine, and I don't think that's happening in 2024.
That's
Maybe
not.
Insomniac are wizards, so
Yeah.
I won't put it past them. But is there an opportunity for an Astrobot or uh, kind of a known quantity like Sly Cooper I saw in chat? Um,
That would
is
be
there an
so
opportunity
great.
for a small PlayStation game, a Towerborn size game from PlayStation next to bigger tentpole stuff?
No, I think what we're getting from PlayStation, like like you're seeing a lot of second party or a lot of like exclusive things that aren't necessarily PlayStation first party. So like for example, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, undoubtedly going to be one of the biggest games next year. That's a Square Enix joint and a probable timed exclusive for PlayStation, but that's launching exclusively on PlayStation for, as far as we know, right?
Mhm,
Rise of Ronin, that is a PlayStation exclusive game being developed by Koei Tecmo, being developed by Team Ninja. So like you're seeing, Stellar Blade, another game, second party X Dev shift up team working on something that's totally new. So
mhm,
you're seeing PlayStation probably do smaller titles, again, akin to a Rise of Ronin and Stellar Blade, but you're probably seeing them do more of those type of deals. I would even see like more exclusive deals, the likes of like a Hogwarts Legacy, where it's a third party game. It's on Xbox too, but you don't even realize it because PlayStation's hitting you over the head with it's on PlayStation, and here's some cool, DualSense features on top of that. So like that's what PlayStation is gonna have a lot of next year. It's a lot of the second party deals, it's a lot of partnerships, and not so much with the PlayStation first party that we know and love. You may get to see what Firespark's, cooking up. You may get to see, something, but it's going to be a slower year for them for sure.
I'm looking at our chat's responses, and it's really cool to me seeing all the games that they liked from the platform mascot people, and then how they're taking in like second and third party exclusives, because next year is a lot of that, or at least it feels like that to me, Joe, because maybe it's because I'm in the Xbox camp. They don't do a great job with third part or second party.
Don't ever criticize Xbox for not messaging correctly. Don't make my same mistake. Okay.
It was awful,
I know.
awful messaging by them. I will stand by that. But I will briefly say before we exit out, probably 2 minutes, Ains.
Yeah.
We will. I lost my point. Super lucky. I loved. James is talking to us, guys, so it's throwing me off.
Yeah, it's the ghost of Ains. Everybody, can we get some rip in the chats for Ains?
Yeah, no kidding.
It's really only this show where his mic really messes up.
Yeah, it's weird it doesn't happen. What was it, like a few weeks off, and we gave him time to rest, and he came to us ill prepared. I agree with you, Luis. I want a new Skylanders game. I think that'd be dope. Very much want Super Lucky back. I would love second and third party, Joe.
Yeah.
Stalker 2 is the first like true big exclusive game on Xbox, not on another platform.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like PlayStation does a really good job at that. So, maybe that's what carries PlayStation this year, and they certainly don't need help. They're still crushing it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm curious to see what Helldivers does, but again, that's small. That's a $40 game, right? Silent Hill 2. I don't know. I don't really trust Bloober, but exclusive to PlayStation, that seems like that would be next year. So that's kind of where I'm at. Where PlayStation heads into 2024. It's going to be a slower year, but I think this is a year that PlayStation has to start talking.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah. Well, I feel like that's it, man. I feel like, unfortunately, the hiccups are distracting, and no Ains is frustrated, and I've been on that end, and I hate that, so I don't want to put him through more. So I will politely ask anybody here that is still hanging out with us to go check out our respective shows. Ains, of course, on Twitter at Porsche Power, and Season Gaming's his website, which he does an incredible job on. And he does Bitcast every Saturday. Great show. Really enjoyable watching them. Wonderful community. I'm sure most of you there are overlapping. You can find me on Twitter at Insipid Ghost. And of course, my content is the Xbox Expansion Pass, which I do with Captain Logan, and we're really proud of that. And we'd appreciate and love you guys to check out our show. Joe, where can we find you, buddy?
Hello.
Oh, there he is.
Yes, suddenly. I just did his exit for him.
I literally have not heard anything you guys have said for the past 10 plus minutes.
Well, we're exiting the show.
We're exiting, so give us a second.
Okay. Give us a second. You're still in the tunnel, by the way. You can find me over at the Trophy Room, a PlayStation podcast made by the players for the players, where each and every Thursday, me and my best friend Kyle talk about the latest, the greatest in all things PlayStation. Our last live show is on the 13th, literally tomorrow. So that's our last live show of 2023. So come on by, show some support. It's at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time over at PS Trophy Room on YouTube. You can find the show PS Trophy Room on Twitter. You can find the Trophy Room wherever you find your podcast service of choice. If you can't find us live, that's no problem. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and of course, the Platties, which I'm shooting a link in the chat right now. That's our Game of the Year award show ceremony and all that goodness. So with all that said, with all that out of the way, everybody keep casting that call. I love you guys. Tell me when.